Easy recipe for short ribs of beef. Boil, and we're going to make the horseradish sauce right after that's finished using the stock. Peel the carrots because you're going to wind up eating the celery, carrots, and the onion. A few bay leaves, some thyme, salt and pepper, and that's all it takes. So we'll put the beef in there, cut up the vegetables, and just boil the meat until it's tender. Now that it's come to a rolling boil, you just want to cut it down to low. Put a lid on it and come back in an hour and check it. That's what I'm going to do. Well, I know it's not going to be ready in an hour, but my timer only goes to an hour, so then I'll reset it after the hour. I'm figuring an hour and a half. Anyway, just cover the meat. There's the vegetables. Most likely we don't add any more liquid. Simmering won't reduce too much, especially if you're covering it. And that's it. Come back and check it. Just the most important thing about this, the meat has to be extremely tender. You cannot have chewy. Then we're going to make the horseradish sauce from the stock. Well, it's been 1 hour. So now we just want to stick the meat and feel how it is. We'll go for another half hour and test it again. So that'll be an hour and a half. For this next half hour, I'm leaving the cover off. I want this to reduce. We need very little liquid in there when it's time to make the sauce. So it should reduce down just about right. But I'm going to look at it in 15 minutes. Since the cover's off, it's a moderate flame now, so it'll keep on simmering, boiling like that. Well, let's see where we're at now. That's an hour and a half. As you can tell, the meat is still not ready. That fork would go in and out very easily. So we're going to go for the 2-hour mark. Hopefully it'll be done. Boy, time flies. As I'm working outside, these half hours fly by. Oh, this is getting so close. Matter of fact, we're there. See how easy that is? And if you notice, as you pull it apart, the meat like kind of separates. We're done. So that was a good, like I said, 2 hours. Now what to do? Very carefully, we have to take all of that out. We're going to take all of it out. And then we're going to strain so we can make the sauce. The vegetables can stay right with the meat because you're going to be eating them. Now, if you notice, you can see shininess on the top there. That means there's fat. So we have a choice. We can either make a roux, which means that you have to skim all the grease off, or just make a mix of cold water and flour. A roux is flour and fat. Since the fat is in there, if we do the flour and water, we're in the same boat as if we use the roux. And it's going to be nice and white because it's a horseradish sauce. So I'm going to take all the vegetables out, strain it so it's going to look better because there are little particles of whatever that comes off the meat that we don't want. So I'm going to strain it, put it into another pan, and then we'll continue. Changed my mind. Took the vegetables out. Don't have to strain that now, because you're going to have to strain it again after, get all that liquid in there. You're going to have to strain it again after we put the flour in there, because there might be lumps. And you want it very smooth. So now I'm going to make the flour water, add it to this, because there's not really a lot of stock in there, and it will cook down after we put the flour in water, and we only need enough for 4 people, so we're in good shape. When you get down to this part here, who's ever making this recipe, nobody's going to have the same amount of liquid left. It's just impossible. So we're going to start off with a half a cup of flour and about a quarter cup of water. And if that's too thick, then we're going to make it so it's equal amounts, which I should have done in the first place, because I knew it was going to be too thick. Even that, equal amounts, is wrong. You know, I usually do this by eye. This time I'm trying to measure it. So we'll go 2 to 1. 1 part flour, 2 parts water. Now that's good. We can smooth that out with the whip. We're going to raise the flame. Now you know you're adding a lot of liquid now. So we're going to allow this to thicken. I'm not going to add all of this at once. We're going to see how it thickens and then maybe add the rest. So you just do it slowly. Now after we strain it, this is going to have to cook about 20 minutes. After that cooks, we're going to strain it and then add the horseradish. Now you can either use fresh horseradish, which I would have added already into the liquid, or just buy some horseradish like everybody else does. I shouldn't say everybody else. I should just say that's the easy way. And that, see, notice how thick that is? That's plenty thick. It might thin. So I'll give that about 10 minutes to simmer and then taste it. Now I'm going to take the sauce and strain it through my chinois into this, so we'll get the correct amount that we need for this. Meaning, if we have 1/4 of this, I'm going to measure the amount of horseradish. Give or take a little bit depending on how hot you want it. Here's what we come out with. Just about a half a quart. In there I put 2 tablespoons of horseradish. If you want it much richer, it's up to the individual. You can just add some heavy cream. So what do we do here? How are we going to serve this? Well, you can have potatoes go well with this. Rice, you can have whatever you want. I would take the piece, like so. If it'll stand up, like that one does, that would be nice. And take some of the vegetables. them, I'm putting them on this side to leave room for the other side for your starch if you're having it. That's enough. And then when it's time to serve, just take the sauce I would keep the meat and the vegetables warm on a platter, wrapped up tight with saran wrap, so the meat doesn't get that dried out look, you know, when you leave it out. And then the sauce is hot, and you just take the sauce, and now you have plenty here for 4 people. And the sauce is clinging to the meat, like so. So the taste stays in your mouth, and that's it. It wasn't too difficult. Just the amount of liquid left over. You should come out with about a half a quart, and if you have less, then a little less is still okay, because as you see, I have plenty for the next 3 plates. Matter of fact, we can put a little bit more on this guy. There you go. Okay, I hope you enjoy that.